This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Because the immediate threat to our union and our republic right now lies with Republicans in Congress, I don't often spend a lot of time talking about Democrats who need criticism, who are worthy of criticism. Occasionally, I'll say something about Nancy Pelosi that I'm unhappy with, or Joe Biden, but largely my ire and my attention is focused on the clear and present danger that are Republicans in Congress. But today, we need to talk about Andrew Cuomo. I've spent a lot of time on my podcast, my audio-only podcast, I doubt it, talking about this issue because there's a lot more time. The bandwidth isn't so tightly controlled. I only have so much time during the day to make videos. So if you want to hear some criticisms, go over there and subscribe. But that's an aside matter. Andrew Cuomo has been investigated, and it has been found that he harassed, he groped. It's not just inappropriate comments. He actually physically touched women against their will, including a state trooper who was tasked with protecting him. Now, I would admonish everybody, I would advise everybody out there to not lionize political figures. Andrew Cuomo is but a man, and apparently not a great one. We shouldn't be surprised by this either. Listen, we need to quit electing these machismo types, these man's man macho types, the Donald Trumps of the world, the Andrew Cuomos of the world, who feel it is their God-given right to reign supreme, to be the masters of their domain. 11 women, it has been found, with corroborating contemporaneous notes. Some of these women immediately texted their family members and friends when it happened, horrified that he ran his hand underneath her blouse to touch her breast, to run his finger along her belly button, along to where her weapon is, her gun, with this state trooper. This isn't a Republican hit job. This is bad behavior. And if we aren't good enough to call out our own side, then what good are we? If we turn our faces from the bad behavior of Andrew Cuomo because he's a Democrat, we are no better than Republicans. Andrew Cuomo must resign prior to whatever legal consequences will come from this. He's already bungled the COVID response, his team lying about nursing home numbers for fear that it might sully the name of the governor's office. Criminal. People died and they covered it up. They cooked the books relative to the numbers of people who were dying in nursing homes. Andrew Cuomo is not a good guy. Andrew Cuomo is not a good governor. And we should have the moral fortitude to call it like we see it. This team game thing should be done with. We are owed good and decent men and women to lead us at the state, local, and federal level. And the good people in New York aren't getting it right now. Look, he may be your guy. You may really like him. You may have voted for him. But that was when you didn't know what we now know. Of course, he should get his day in court, of course. But there's overwhelming evidence here. 2 independent investigators who are experts in the field of employment law and harassment and whistleblowers looked into this. I'm going to cut to Letitia James, play the video of her kind of outlining, but I would encourage you to go watch the live stream, the full 45 or hour-long live stream, to hear from the actual investigators and what they found. It is horrific. And I shouldn't have to say, imagine if your wife or your mother or your daughter or your sister was harassed. I shouldn't have to do that. Some people need that, though. If this was one of your loved ones who was having her breast grabbed against her will, you would want more than legal prosecution for Andrew Cuomo. I know I would. I know it's going to be controversial. I know I'm probably going to lose subscribers. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. But I'm not going to shy away from what I see as truth because my audience might not like it or it might make them uncomfortable. What good would I be to you if I didn't say what I believe to be true? Most of those people probably already clicked off and clicked unsubscribe. It's what it is. Here's Letitia James outlining what they found.
The independent investigation has concluded that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women and in doing so violated federal and state law. Specifically, the investigation found that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed current and former New York State employees by engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature that created a hostile work environment for women. The investigators independently corroborated and substantiated these facts through interviews and evidence, including contemporaneous notes and communications. This evidence will be made available to the public along with the report. This investigation was started after a number of women publicly alleged that they had been sexually harassed by Governor Cuomo. Over the course of the 5-month investigation, the investigators spoke to 179 individuals, including complainants, current and former members of the executive chamber, state troopers, additional state employees, and others who interacted regularly with the governor. In addition, they reviewed more than 74,000 pieces of evidence, including documents, emails, texts, audio files, and pictures. These interviews and pieces of evidence reveal a deeply disturbing yet clear picture. Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws. The independent investigation found that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, many of whom were young women, by engaging in unwanted groping, kisses, hugging, and by making inappropriate comments. Further, the governor and his senior team took actions to retaliate against at least one former employee for coming forward with her story, her truth. Governor Cuomo's administration fostered a toxic workplace that enabled harassment and created a hostile work environment where staffers did not feel comfortable coming forward with complaints about sexual harassment due to a climate of fear and given the power dynamics. The investigators found that Governor Cuomo's actions and those of the executive chamber violated multiple state and federal laws, as well as the executive chamber's own written policies. This investigation has revealed conduct that corrodes the very fabric and character of our state government and shines light on injustice that can be present at the highest levels of government. But none of this would have been illuminated if not for the heroic women who came forward. And I am inspired by all the brave women who came forward. But more importantly, I believe them.
What do you say? What should we do? There are witnesses to much of this evidence. Not just he said, she said. There are corroborated accounts. There are emails contemporaneously sent at the moment that it happened. This isn't a Republican hit job. Letitia James is no Republican. This isn't politics. This isn't trying to get him. He got himself. I'd love to know what you think. Are you angry with me? Should we hold our leaders to account? Call, you can leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily at dollemore.com. I really want to know. I really want to know how you feel about this. And if I'm wrong, tell me how I'm wrong. And don't just send me an email saying, those women had it out to get him. I don't want to hear that. That's nonsense. That's the things that Trump supporters say about the dozens and dozens of women who've accused him of sexual impropriety, sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape. Those excuses, if they don't fly for Trump, they don't fly for little Andy Cuomo. They do not. If you're still here, I would appreciate you considering supporting my work so I can continue to tell the truth as I see it. You can click the join button below the video, become a channel member. For fewer than $2 a month, you can help produce my work here. You can also go over to Patreon, patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. And if you haven't subscribed and listened to the podcast, you really should. It's a lot more in-depth. We spend a lot more time on topics that might piss you off. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'd love to see you connect with me on social media. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another.